Hey, it's Tom Sinclair coming to you with another episode of Streaming Idiots. We're testing out something new today, so let's just dive in, shall we? Let's just dive in. Today we're using vMix 13 as our editing, how would you describe it? Our video production software. We're actually streaming this with Wirecast, but we're using vMix 13 to do the lower thirds, the chroma key, all that kind of thing. And so I want to give you a quick look. I'm going to show my what they call my desktop. So I'm now streaming my desktop to you. And this window right here with the red on the top, that's the preview window. The window to my right, that is infinity, is the program window. And then the ones below me, directly below me here, are regarding video. They might be other cameras or video modules of one sort or another. Actually, one of them right here is an audio module, so I guess that busts that loose. And then way over here, to my left, is the audio switch. The audio switcher, essentially the mixer. Still playing with this, still working out all the bugs, i.e. not in the program, but in me as a former and current VidBlaster user, trying to adopt over some of my language, some of my terminology to new software. And I'm finding that they do the same things mostly, but they don't do it the same way mostly. vMix is more akin to Wirecast, more akin to TriCaster, where you're assembling a shot here in the preview pane, and then transitioning that shot onto the program window or program pane. And then you have all sorts of other little shots that you can queue up and can transition in with all sorts of really fun transitions, which frankly I would probably never ever use except to show you that they were there. But this is vMix 13. You can get it from vmix.com.au. I am an authorized reseller for vMix, so if you're interested in getting vMix, you can get it from me. You'll have to shoot me a note, tom@streamingidiots.com. I don't have a store set up on the website, but we do have Eastern Shore Broadcasting set up as our primary source for that. Yes, somebody in the chat room is saying that the program should be set up as red and the preview should be set up as green. And that's true. You can change these settings to be anything you want. I think what they were talking about was, we'll go to what they call a quick cut, is the red up here typically is a program, and the green is typically the preview. And somebody's saying, have to say that you don't have audio hiccups now that you're using vMix. Well, I hate to say it, but the only thing that's vMix is the video. Wirecast is taking the audio straight from my mixer and has been doing 100% of the time since we've been on the air today with that VidBlaster Guy earlier. So the only change would be at your end, because nothing has changed at this end, the same audio source. And in fact, all the audio bars that you see jumping around right here are from the theme music that's still playing. I've turned it down and I'll turn it off right there, so you can see that vMix is not carrying any audio at all. And that's one of the fun things about new software is figuring out how the developer intended it to be used. One thing I will say about VidBlaster is that it's very intuitive, at least at the primary level. Primary or secondary level, it's pretty intuitive. You think it's going to do this, it does this. You think something will open up a menu box, it does it. vMix is not nearly as intuitive. They're circling around the screen are different command sets, kind of like the file menus in a word processing program. There are 3 or 4 of them up here. across the top left. There's some, whoops, let's see, way over there across the top right. There's some around across the bottom, on the right and on the left. And so they're sort of clustered around the operator screen. And they have names like add input. Well, add input, as it turns out, is a huge, probably the biggest function, because it'll put this giant screen up there for you that gives you the chance to add video, DVDs, a playlist, individual cameras. I think we've already got 2 of them set up. You can capture desktop, you can stream, you can do video delay, which is how they do their slow motion instant replay. You can do an image, you can do a photo, you can do a PowerPoint, you can have a solid color. You can do audio, which would be like a recorded audio file, and then audio input, like would be from the speakers or from a mixer. And then the titles, and then the ability to bring in a RTMP feed, and then have virtual sets. So all of that is added under inputs, which makes it, to me, as a VidBlaster guy, it's different. It's exciting. It's going to be interesting to try to use. Let's see. Some chat. I'm trying to catch up with the chat in the chat room here because we were talking about audio. One of the other interesting things about vMix is that it seems to be priced at what I think is a discount compared to its value. And I think the program is getting more and more value as the developer, Martin Sinclair, no close kin, might be distant kin, but no close kin. As the developer, Martin Sinclair, adds more and more features to the program, he like Mike Versteeg of VidBlaster is very responsive to the input from his followers. I would imagine they would be license holders, and a lot of the features that he has put in and is continuing to develop have been based on user input. The one thing that I've noticed, let's see, let's go to processes. vMix, if I can isolate it here, vMix is doing 6 to 8% right here in what it's displaying, with 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, the equivalent of 9 modules. Where VidBlaster was doing 20% with the equivalent of 30 modules. So I'll have to test that some more to get kind of an apples and apples comparison from you. And Wirecast is still doing what Wirecast was doing, which was basically just streaming it at about 10%. vMix uses Flash Media Live Encoder as its streaming engine, and it will be interesting to see, as VidBlaster has now gone over to FFmpeg, if there'll be a push in the vMix community to do the same thing in order to get the same kind of CPU savings that we've seen. A comment in the chat room from Ovinus that vMix does make heavy use of the video card, the GPU, and has some recommendations for something more than the low power GPUs, and that's something that I'm going to be experimenting with to see, and that's something that VidBlaster has not taken advantage of yet, is to use the GPU for some of that graphics processing. They're already doing that in vMix and have been for a while, and they already have done that in Wirecast. And I think that's where VidBlaster was using a lot of CPU for that video intensive work, and got a bad reputation as a result. So let's see. The different versions of vMix let's see where we can get them here. Are the there's a free version, which is a very basic version for standard definition, 4 inputs and an overlay channel, and this would be considered an overlay right here, and that's free. There's a basic edition that does high definition, that's very similar, except it does higher definition. That's about $50 US. There is one that is a paid standard edition one, standard definition one called SD, that will have 4 overlay channels and 1,000 inputs, but restricted to a standard definition recording and feed, and that's for about, I think, about 120 US. And then there's a high definition one that's the same 1,000 inputs, but at high definition is about what is that? About 300 US. Trying to do a quick turnaround in my head, and then their big boy, the 4K, does up to 4K resolution, 4096 by 2160. And is $700 Australian, so that's about 620, something like that, US. So price-wise, it's very competitive price-wise. vMix has done a good job of getting themselves out into the broadcasting community. They've sponsored some, I think they've sponsored Studio Tech. They've had booths at some of the big trade shows. And somebody's telling me that the 4K version is $652 US. Okay, thank you for catching me on that one, Jerry. I'm not very good at translating one currency to another in my head, unless it's Canadian dollars. I got that one down pat. The vMix has also made a pretty low-key offer. It's not very widely publicized, but for churches that are interested in live video production for their services, that they have a limited number of free versions, i.e. not the basic version, I don't think, but some of the other paid versions that are available free to be used in churches. And I think that's very commendable of Martin Sinclair to take that on. And I'm getting a question in the chat room, how am I doing my lower third? That I don't see an overlay. Well, this is can you, I don't know if can you see my cursor anywhere? No, I can't see it. I don't know if you can see that little highlighting down there below my little teeny picture with the black background, just to the right of that, and you can see different things moving around in there. That is my lower third right there, and that's combined with this shot of me with the black background, that is the green background keyed out, and makes the shot over here with the red top, that is the keyed out background with the video keyed in and the overlay put upon it. Let's see how I can show you how I did that. That would be the question. Can I show you how I did that? I don't think it's here. think it's there. You know, it's really funny. In VidBlaster, it's so easy. You know, you want to put a lower third in. You just click on it, and it appears on the screen. And of course, if you change cameras, your lower third stays there unless you assign the lower third to one particular camera using an effects module. Here in this case, I've got this shot that really was. Let's see if we can color adjust, color key. There we go. If I take out the color key, it tells you that I've just got this regular old green background. When I put the color key in, it keys out the background. And then, oh, you guys can't see this one. Okay, let's see. Let's go here. We'll cut back to that one. All right. And so I've got that there, color key. Oh, sorry. We're going to take the Logitech, the one here in red, the Logitech HD Pro webcam. We'll go to settings on it. We'll go to color key, and you can see I've keyed out the background. And I just picked a green, and it did a good job of giving me a good key. I didn't have to adjust any of the adjustments. And then if I come down to multi-view is where I get to add in the nope, that would have to be over here where I come to multi-view, and that's where I add in view number 1, which is the Logitech HD Pro webcam, where I've already keyed out the background, and then I'm adding the lower third, and that is position number 1 here. A little confusing, to say the least, but it does give me the ability to have this one shot that is pre-configured with the lower third and the background. Now, in this particular method, I don't have the option to take that lower third out. I could build up a different set of menus there. I mean, a different set of modules that would allow me to add the lower third and then take it out, or to add a ticker across the bottom or something like that and take that out. But this particular module is pretty well set to do this, and this actually is let's see, let's go back to this shot right here. The one here on the left side, right up here, I don't know if you can see that little, that's a file name, and that's the file name of the AVI file, which is actually the background shot that's going in behind me back here. That is supposed to be, oh, let's see if we can make it play. There we go. It's playing and it's looping in the background. And so what I've done is I've taken that background file, and that is the file on which I build, and I'm building that and then me as the middle level, and then the lower third as the outside level. I'm going to be putting together some, I mean, for my own use as well as anybody else's. I'll be putting together some. This is how I did it. I won't call them tutorials, but rather this is how I did it, and post those up and probably show those during some of the upcoming shows. Because what I found is there are some people out there, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are using vMix, but there are not very many people out there who are showing you how to use vMix. And the ones that are probably assuming that you know a certain level already. And this is some of the feedback I got when I first started that VidBlaster Guy, which was, you've told us how to do this, but really what we need to know is how to do this. You know, we got to have a starting point. And so, starting with new software, I have to start at the starting point too. So I'm pleased so far with what I see. Several folks in the chat room were talking about the buttons that are located underneath any particular module that will allow you to put an overlay onto something. Let's see, we can switch to this shot right here, and then we can put an overlay on it if we want to. Or let's go back to the overhead shot. If we wanted to put an overlay on that, we would get that overlay to pop up on there, and depending on which one of the buttons you pushed would depend on kind of where that overlay fell in terms of foreground versus background when other overlays were to be used. And so it can get a little tricky to get those figured out. But it's a lot of fun. As with anything else, it's fun to see how they put the program together, how they made it work, and how I can get the desired result. A lot of times going into it with knowing the desired result makes it hard to learn the program, because I'm looking for the answer to particular questions that may not be available right off the bat. Somewhat like VidBlaster, is there's some building block approaches you have to take, and you have to put A with B that equals C, and then C with, let's see, D, E equaling F, and C and F give you G that you really want. And you can see the need for C, and you can see the need for F, but you don't see A, B, D, and E, or whatever the other letters would be that are the building blocks below those. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And I apologize to those folks that are having some problems with the stream today. I suspect it is on the CDN side. The uplink here today was just over 12 consistently. Downlink is almost 100, but that doesn't matter. And we're only using about 2,900, 3,100 kbps. So we should have plenty of overhead. We should have 4 times as much overhead as we need. So it's an inexact science, to be sure. No problems in Germany. That's good to know. That's good to know. Well, let's see. What else can I tell you about this? Yeah, if I've talked you into giving, John says he's talked me into giving vMix a test. I think it's worth a test. There's a 60-day trial where you can try out the 4K version for 60 days. It's different. VidBlaster allows an unlimited trial, but they put a logo up in the corner to let folks know that you're using the what would that go like that? That you're using the trial version of VidBlaster. Here with vMix, you get a 60-day trial, but at the end of 60 days, it's done. I guess I don't know if it reverts back to the basic version or what, but it looks like it's definitely worth a look. And one of the things that I've learned as I've gone through this process with VidBlaster, and then to some extent with Wirecast, and now with vMix, is that the software fits the person that's using it. And what may work great for John, Jerry, it may not work for Jerry at all. And what makes no sense at all to Bob, Charles sits down in front of it and just says, boom, I got it, and off he goes. And some people are real visual. They've got to have everything out there in front of them. I'm one of those people, and so as a result, VidBlaster was easy for me to use because there were the modules. You clicked the ones you wanted. Some people are more, well, how would you describe it? I guess they're not so visually oriented. These are the people that put their file folders actually in the file cabinets. Unlike people like me that leave your file folders scattered out on top of your desk where you can see them. Because they remember where they are, and they remember that that's where they need to go to find something. And that seems to be the way Wirecast is organized and the way vMix is organized too. That I guess it's out where you can see it, but you really, unless you know what a multi-quarter is, or a playlist is, or a pause input is, you're going to have to dig in there and find out what it is and what it means. But it's going to be fun, and I'll take you along for the journey, and we can learn it together. And I think one of the things that I've learned so far, and this is, I'm not talking about budgets so much, but where you have an opportunity to know how to use more than one piece of software that does a similar thing, you can find strengths or weaknesses, and you can also find ways that they can work together to your advantage in certain situations. So if you all of a sudden find yourself in a situation where you've got a low-powered PC, you may find that vMix works great for you because it works well with low-powered PCs. Or if you have a situation where you've got a high-powered PC but low bandwidth, you may want to choose VidBlaster for that reason. So a lot of it has to do with all the intricacies of the particular need, whether it's a short-term need or a long-term need. I have a friend who's going to be broadcasting some racing from Michigan this week on some PCs that we bought for them, and what we thought would work up front with one particular software didn't work the way we expected, and so we changed gears and used it different. Actually, we modified the computers to work a different way so that we were able to get the results that we needed. And sometimes the best of intentions, the best of studies, the best of planning doesn't always work out. Well, I guess I don't need to tell you guys that. You already know that. Well, we're going to wrap up this session today, but this was sort of our sticking our toe in the water, as it was, for vMix. And I can see right down here at the bottom, let's see, that's going to be the bottom right there. It says that my frames per second are 30, the render time is 17 milliseconds, and the CPU is 6%, 9%, 7%, 8%. Don't let that fool you as you compare it to VidBlaster, because VidBlaster, when VidBlaster shows you the CPU, that's the total CPU of your computer, not just the little part that VidBlaster is using. So that's pretty funny, because we're using, let's see, what are we using right now? Yeah, we're using 50% of the CPU. So, very good. Well, I'm Tom Sinclair. The chief streaming idiot, and I've been delighted to be with you this afternoon. If you watch this live, we'll post it again on Friday on YouTube, and you can see the parts that you missed, and we'll be hanging around afterwards a little bit and have a little after show party, as it were. So let me give you a little out to go music, and we'll see you next time.